Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is my honor to call the City of Tallahassee City Commission meeting to order. It is 3:02 in the afternoon on today, Wednesday, June 14th. We've got a full meeting, a lot to celebrate to begin with. But first and foremost, to provide the invocation, I want to introduce and invite the Reverend Dr. Kim Buchanan of the United Church of Christ in Tallahassee. Please stand for the invocation, ladies and gentlemen. Reverend Buchanan, welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be here. Holy One, thank you for our city commissioners, for our mayor, John Daly, for our mayor pro tem, Diane Williams-Cox, and for our commissioners, Jack Porter, Curtis Richardson, and Jeremy Matlow. Thank you, too, for our appointed officials, Reese Goad, Jim Cook, Cassandra Jackson, and Dennis Sutton. And while we're at it, we thank you for their aides because we know without them we wouldn't be here today. So thank you. Thank you for our commission's commitment to working for the common good of all Tallahasseans and for celebrating with us the wide diversity of people who call Tallahassee home. The recent state legislative session has been hard, perhaps especially for our siblings in the LGBTQ+ communities. How grateful we are to know that in the midst of attacks on the personhood of so many of our state citizens, our city government supports us and celebrates us. That's huge, Holy One. Thank you for our commissioners and appointed officials. We also pray for the work being undertaken by our commissioners today. The road to consensus is sometimes circuitous and rocky, and oh, Lord, at the potholes. It's not easy to make decisions for the common good when we common folk have so many different needs. We know our commissioners love our city and all our citizens. We also know they feel the weight of representing all Tallahasseans. And God, I'm just going to say it, especially at budget time. So, Holy One, we pray for our commissioners in their conversations and decision-making today. Grant them strength and wisdom, calm their spirits, and clear their minds. Give them everything they need to work together for Tallahassee's common good. It is in the hope and belief of community that I pray today and every day. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Amen. Ladies and gentlemen, if you'll remain standing and please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Reverend Buchanan, thank you so much for that beautiful invocation to start off today. That's a great way to start. I want to take a point of personal privilege while we're recognizing many young people today for their accomplishments. We also have two young men from Troop 14, Boy Scouts of America, Swanee River Area Council that are here working on their citizenship badge. Thank you so much for joining us. We certainly do appreciate it. It's good to see you. So, we have a full commission meeting today, and we have a public hearing. We have a lot on the agenda, colleagues, because it is our last meeting before summer recess. I'm going to do the best job that I possibly can to make sure that we stay on target. I think that we'll still be able to get through all of the business before the public hearing. If we're not done, then we will come back after the public hearing and finish up and spend as much time as we need on all issues. All right, Mr. Manager, do we have any agenda modifications?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. Item 12.08 has been added to your agenda since it was originally published. It is the approval to apply for and accept and expend the FY 2023 Pipeline Hazardous Materials Safety Administration Natural Gas and Distribution Infrastructure Safety Modernization Grant. That's a mouthful. That's been added as item 1208. Also, materials have been updated in item 10.04 involving an Airport Advisory Committee appointment. And then finally, item 1201, which was the Independent Ethics Board Ordinance recommendation, has been deleted.
All right, colleagues, any questions on the agenda modifications? Seeing none, we have some great proclamations and presentations. By the way, I'd love to invite y'all to come join me. Ladies and gentlemen, we have 3 proclamations, celebration, and 1 very exciting presentation today. At this point, I would like to invite all of my members of the Mayor's LGBTQ+ Advisory Council and all members of the community would like to come forward as we celebrate Pride Month with a proclamation. Please do. I am proud to be one of 3 mayors, I believe, in the state of Florida that actually has an LGBTQ+ Advisory Council, and I appreciate all the incredible work that you do on behalf of the community. Ladies and gentlemen, from the governing body of the City of Tallahassee, a proclamation. Whereas a central tenet of the United States law is the principle of non-discrimination and equal protection under the law as human rights. And whereas members of the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and questioning LGBTQ communities still face ongoing discrimination based on their innate status, resulting in untallied human tragedy, loss of life, community isolation, and abuse. And whereas the City of Tallahassee opposes any type of oppression, be it based on race, gender identity, gender expression, or sexual orientation, is committed to justice and equality for all individuals. And whereas the City of Tallahassee has long strived for equal rights for all citizens and maintains a strong stand that each individual deserves to be treated equally and with respect, no matter what their sexual orientation, gender identity, expression, race, size, documentation status, color, creed, ethnic origin, or religion may be. And whereas to celebrate the richness and diversity of the Tallahassee community, the Mayor's LGBTQ+ Advisory Council, various community organizations, businesses, and individuals will conduct various cultural, educational, and entertainment activities during the month of June 2023 to focus attention on the importance of equity, equality, acceptance, and respect for diversity among us. Now, therefore, I, John Daly, by the authority vested in me as the Mayor of the City of Tallahassee, do hereby recognize the month of June as Pride Month to honor freedom from prejudice and bias in any form, to recognize and praise those members of our community who constantly fight the battle for equal treatment for all, and to further restate the City of Tallahassee's commitment to remain adamantly opposed to all forms of discrimination and oppression. Ladies and gentlemen, I have read this into the record and witness in front of each and every one of you, signed with my signature, John Daly, dated June 4th, 2023. Stephanie, I'm going to present this to you, if I can. Congratulations. Let's have a wonderful Pride Month.
In my next life, I'm going to be tall. Mayor Daley, commissioners, thank you. On behalf of the mayor's LGBTQ council members, we thank you for this proclamation. Pride is a time to celebrate, to be proud, and to live authentically. It has always mattered, but this year, pride matters so much more. This past Monday, June 12th, was the anniversary of the Pulse nightclub massacre. We remember how a gunman filled with hate opened fire on our Orlando LGBTQ community, killing 49 and wounding 53 innocent souls. And while we would hope that this hateful act would have been an isolated incident, we have seen a rising wave of hatred and attacks throughout this year on our community. Pride is a time to say enough is enough. The LGBTQ community will not be erased. We will not hide. We are committed, and thank you again for joining us in this commitment to stand up and fight for a world where no one has to fear being their authentic selves, where love overshadows hate, and where we all can live free. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, 3, 2, 1. 1. 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor and privilege to introduce the Florida Elite Tallahassee 2008 boys soccer team state champions. Come forward, gentlemen. I hear y'all been pretty dominant out there on the soccer field. Coach, come on down here. Come on down here. It is our honor and privilege to honor you here today, and I read a proclamation from the governing body of the City of Tallahassee. Now, if you stand that way, you get on camera. They see you. There you go. Now, smile pretty for everybody watching on TV, okay? Whereas the members of the Florida Elite Tallahassee boys soccer team are to be recognized individually and as a whole for their achievement of being ranked #1 in the Florida Club League. And whereas the Florida Elite Tallahassee boys soccer team has accomplished the opportunity to travel to and participate in the 2023 National Premier League Youth Soccer Championship held in Denver, Colorado. And whereas the Florida Elite Tallahassee, Florida Elite Tallahassee 2008 boys soccer team, sorry about that, Coach, are individually striving for and obtaining success in their endeavors. And whereas the Florida Elite Tallahassee 2008 boys soccer team are on a path to fulfilling their dreams of multiple accomplishments and becoming respected young leaders of our community. And whereas the Florida Elite Tallahassee 2008 boys soccer team are a valuable asset to the City of Tallahassee and will shape our future as they continue on the path of adulthood. Now, therefore, I, John E. Daly, by the authority vested in me as the mayor of the City of Tallahassee, do hereby recognize the Florida Elite Tallahassee 2008 boys soccer team for representing the City of Tallahassee and encourage all citizens to express congratulations and appreciation to the athletes, the coaches, the staff, and the parents, read into the record in front of each and every one of you, signed with my signature, John Daly, dated June 14th, 2023. Ladies and gentlemen, the state champs. The captain of the team. Here we go.
Represent them, Captain.
I'd like to thank the City Commission for inviting us here today to recognize us for this wonderful accomplishment that we've achieved. And I'd also like to thank all the coaches and all the parents for everything that they do for us.
All right.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to ask our photographer to help stage us. Parents, if you want to kind of fill in, you're more than welcome to, too. We do have an official photographer, and we can share as well the pictures that we're taking. At this time, I also want to give a shout-out to the amazing team at Tallahassee Parks and Rec that helped provide amazing fields for us to play on. We know it's hard to maintain because they get so much play because soccer is so popular here in Tallahassee, but thank you all so much for everything you do as well. All right. Got everyone? All right, 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. Gentlemen, as they cheered for you, I know you will also join me in this next incredible special recognition. I would like to invite the Omega Lamplighter's Incorporated Mighty Light Team 2023 Stomp Wars World
World champion.
Bring that hardware front and center. There we go. Let's see that. Look at that. Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, from the governing body of the City of Tallahassee, a proclamation. Whereas the City of Tallahassee is honored to be the home of the Omega Lamplighters Incorporated national headquarters and the Big Bend chapter. And whereas the Omega Lamplighters Incorporated Mighty Light team was named the 2023 Stomp Wars World Champions in the high school male division for step. And whereas this is the first time the Omega Lamplighters Incorporated Mighty Light team has won the World Championship title. And whereas this is the first time a team from the City of Tallahassee has ever won the World Championship title. And whereas the Omega Lamplighters Incorporated Mighty Light team is officially recognized as the #1 high school step team in the nation. And whereas the Omega Lamplighters Incorporated Mighty Light team demonstrated superior leadership, perseverance, teamwork, and discipline, qualities which guide the Omega Lamplighters in all of their endeavors. And whereas the Omega Lamplighters Incorporated was founded in Tallahassee, Florida in 2008 and has had a direct impact on over 1,500 male youth in this city with a focus on providing them with all the necessary tools to be successful. And whereas the City of Tallahassee is proud to have a group of accomplished student athletes represent our great city at the high school level, now therefore I, Johnny Daly, by the authority vested in me as the mayor of the City of Tallahassee, do hereby recognize the Omega Lamplighters Incorporated Mighty Light team for representing the Omega Lamplighters Incorporated and the City of Tallahassee at the 2023 Stomp Wars National Championship. Read into the record in front of each and every one of you, signed with my signature, John E. Daly, dated June 4th, 2023. Ladies and gentlemen, the world champs.
Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the Omega Lamplighters Incorporated and the Mighty Light team, I would like to thank Mayor Daley and his cabinet for this recognition and this proclamation on today. I want to thank our parents for their unwavering support, and I want to thank the City of Tallahassee for you all support as well. And to these young men, I am extremely proud of you, and I look forward to seeing you be great continuously. Thank you.
Hayden McLaurin, come up to the front.
One, three, two, one more, 3, 2, 1. All right, everybody freeze.
Bring it down. No, not you. Not you. It's you. They turn it. All right.
if you are exiting the chambers, I ask that you try to keep it down to a low roar. And before our next presentation, which is extremely special as well, actually, gentlemen, if you want, Coach, you want just a second, this might be one they want to see as well. Just hang out right where you are or in the back of the room. And on a personal note, folks, if you think about all the challenges that we're facing in society, I mean, you look at this incredible group of all of these young people in our community that are representing us well, that are out there doing the best they can and setting the example. It really brings joy to my heart. And again, congratulations to the soccer team and to the Lamplighters, and thank you so much for all that you do. At this time, I would like to ask Officer Henny Hamby to please come forward, and it is my honor and privilege to ask it is an honor to have with us as well U.S. Attorney Jason Cootie for a very special presentation. Mr. Attorney, please come forward. Thanks again for joining us.
Mayor. Good afternoon. It's an honor to be here with you all to witness the wonderful accomplishments of everyone and to celebrate, as we should, the equality wall. I'm honored to be here at the invitation of the City Council and the Mayor to highlight an incredible accomplishment of one of the most wonderful folks that I've had the pleasure of working with in my law enforcement career, Officer Henny Hamby. Let me talk to you just briefly to put in context what I was humbled to observe last week at the Department of Justice. Officer Hamby was nominated and selected as one of 19 of over 300 nominations across the country for distinguished law enforcement awards by the Attorney General of the United States. I was honored to be there with command staff from the Tallahassee Police Department, as well as some of her colleagues when she was bestowed that honor. I want to tell you just briefly what that means, not just to Officer Hamby, the Tallahassee Police Department, but what it means to our community. I use that word "our" purposefully, because Officer Hamby exemplifies what it means to say "our." It's not just about providing public safety. It's not just about rendering aid. It's about making sure the needs of everyone in our community are not just met, but they're protected. And I could not think of a more worthy recipient to have that award. And let me tell you something. I'm going to digress for a second. It's not just what's in someone's heart, but it's a matter of leadership. And this community is blessed beyond measure to have the leadership that we have with the Tallahassee Police Department. That starts from the top, and it filters down. And the men and women who serve, like Officer Hamby, they don't do it for fame. They don't do it for fortune. They do it because they care about every member of their community. And so, Mayor, I would be remiss in saying thank you to you, certainly to you, Chief. Thank you very much. And Officer Hamby, thank you.
So I've been a member of this community for probably going on 35 years now. Starting back with FSU, didn't know that I was going to make Tallahassee my home, come back and start the police academy, and I work for the police department, and I retire with over 30 years of service. But this community, like I said, is my home. So I serve my home. Our command staff serve your home. We are all here together to make Tallahassee a safer place for everybody to live. And I'm just a small reflection of all the members and the people that work for the city of Tallahassee. I'm not just talking about the police department, but city parks, right? The FAMU Police Department, the FAMU people that are here today serving us, our city commission, our city leaders. So I just say thank you for everybody, and this is an amazing honor bestowed upon me, but I am just a little reflection of the people that work for you and serve for you daily. And we love our community. I mean, that's why we're here doing the job that we're doing, and thank you so much.
Next one over.
No, yes, sir. That was funny. Officer Hamby, thank you once again for all that you do for the Tallahassee Police Department. Folks, again, let's stress the fact that there are tens of thousands of law enforcement officers and personnel across the United States, and out of all those, only 300 were nominated, and out of those 300, Officer Hamby was recognized as one of the best in the country. That is just an absolutely amazing feat, and we are so very proud of all that you do. So we have no more presentations before us today. We are on announcements. Any announcements come before us? Mr. Manager.
No, sir.
All right, under appearances by City Commission, appointed boards and committees, we have an update on the bicentennial planning from my office. Deontay Gavin will be introducing, I believe, the presentation. Mr. Gavin, thanks for joining us.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, and Mr. City Manager and appointed officials. It's an exciting time as our community prepares to celebrate the Tallahassee-Leon County Bicentennial next year. The Bicentennial provides an opportunity to engage the community in the rich history of Tallahassee and Leon County over the past 200 years and the vision for the years to come. In December of 2022, the Tallahassee-Leon County Bicentennial Steering Committee, of which the Office of the Mayor is a member, was established. The establishment of this steering committee provides the necessary focus, leadership, and resources under one structure to ensure a coordinated marketing and branding framework for the activities associated with the Bicentennial. I've invited Carrie Post, Executive Director of Visit Tallahassee, to provide a brief presentation on the Bicentennial planning efforts. Commissioner, as you are aware, Visit Tallahassee has taken the lead on these planning efforts. So with that, I'll turn it over to Carrie.
Ms. Post, thank you so much for joining us, and thanks for all you do over at Visit Tallahassee. Y'all do a great job.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Mr. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners, City Manager, elected officials, delighted to be here. I would like to take a quick moment and introduce Vel Johnson, if she could stand up. Yeah. She is the Bicentennial Coordinator.
All right.
She got a huge task ahead of her. She's doing a terrific job. She spent many years here in Tallahassee. She moved away, now she's back, and she has hit the ground running, so she's doing a terrific job. The Bicentennial is really a tremendous opportunity to engage all segments of the community and tell our story. I don't know where I point this. Where do I? Oh, wait a minute. Hey, it worked, oh my God. Okay, stay put. I wanted to start off by showing, this is an 1885 aerial map of Tallahassee, or aerial view. And I think it's so funny because you can see the Leon Hotel there in the bottom. And again, that kind of gives you a look of the landscape of how it was in Tallahassee was in 1885. And here it is in 2019, an aerial view. So when you kind of go back and forth, quite a big difference here of how we have grown over the years. So just a few highlights on what I'm going to cover today. I'm going to talk a little bit about the anniversary dates and certainly some of the past, touch on some of the past celebrations. The Bicentennial Steering Committee and their strategic goals, task forces, event highlights, ways to get involved, and the theme. So just kind of to jump right in, there are two dates that we're going to be celebrating and commemorating in 2024, and that is Tallahassee was established on March 4th, 1824, and Leon County was established on December 29th, 1824. So what we have here in 1924 was the centennial celebration. So they celebrate, I want to, like I said, kind of touch on what's been done in the past. In 1924, if you can imagine how Tallahassee and Leon County was back then, the community celebrated with a week-long festival, all celebrating the centennial. And in 1974, the sesquicentennial, that's a mouthful, the 150th, a major observance was also held on March 4th with a historical pageant, and it kicked off a series of monthly events through the remainder of the year. And I must share up front that the 2024 bicentennial, the anniversary celebration, is going to look and feel and be very different than the past two. The past two major celebrations, in that the entire community will be involved and represented from the start. My team, myself, Bicentennial Steering Committee, we're all very intentional and committed to an inclusive 200th anniversary where all segments across all areas of our community are included. And also keep in mind, this year, 2023, this is the planning and development year. So this is where all the plans, the ideation, the groups, the discussions, they're all happening this year. I like to call it, as I tell folks, I keep reminding them, we're building the plane while we're flying it. Because this is the year where it's really all coming together, all the discussions, and I'm going to get more into this, but again, we are building the plane while we're flying it this year. And the bicentennial kicks off on New Year's Eve in Cascade Park, so mark your calendar to be there. It's going to be great. I'm not going to go into all of these, you can see, but just kind of in a nutshell, the Bicentennial Steering Committee was really created with the following goals, and that is provide leadership and structure for the initiative. It's a 2-year-long initiative. Like I said, this year we're doing the planning development, and then obviously the anniversary near next year. The goal is to create more partnerships in the communities, to have form new partnerships, expand existing partnerships. We want to engage the entire community. We want to recognize our history, but we also want to look to the future and to the next 100 years. We want to increase our community's visibility, viability, and visitation. Yep, got to have visitors coming. And we want events occurring every single month of the year. And also, we want some lasting legacies as part of it. Again, you only turn 200 once. Right. And so we got one shot to do it here. So again, we want some lasting legacies of public art, infrastructure, et cetera. So I hope you guys can see it real quick, but I wanted to list everybody on here. The Bicentennial Steering Committee, what you see here, the organizations and the individuals, I'm not going to highlight each and every one of these super impressive individuals involved, but I'm so proud and excited to have these community leaders engaged on this very important initiative. They're sharing their time and their talent to utilize this tremendous opportunity that we have to tell our community structure under one structure with a coordinated marketing and branding framework. Again, what an incredible group of individuals. This is the Bicentennial Steering Committee. And here, while the Bicentennial Steering Committee really provides the focus, the leadership, and the resources, it's the task forces is really where the real work gets done and the real engagement in the community, and we get broader representation from everyone throughout the community. The task forces are co-chaired by a member of the Bicentennial Steering Committee, or co-chaired. Like, for example, programming events and activities is chaired by Elizabeth Emanuel and Tiffany Baker from the Historic Capitol. Community outreach and inclusion, we have Antonio Jefferson and we have Dana Knowles from the Chamber. They're chairing that, again, to make sure we're involving the business community. And again, reaching to Rotary clubs and et cetera. Marketing, Betsy Couch is chairing along with Katie Cole on my team. The Education Task Force is chaired by Eric Clark with Leon County Schools. Of course, we have Florida A&M, FSU, TCC, and this group, there's like 35 involved, and they are engaged, they're excited, and it's not just focused on the academics, it's also on athletics. So the education, I mean, they're all doing great, but the education is really pumped up. Faith-based is we are very intentional to reach out to all of our faith-based organizations, churches, synagogues, et cetera. They've always been a very, very important part, not just the history of our community, but the future. So we really want to engage the faith-based organizations and all the churches that we have in our community to be involved with the bicentennial. And that is chaired by Katrina Tuggerson. Is chairing that task force. State legislature and government, again, working with our state partners. Again, that is where, again, to have our anniversaries recognized next year. Up on the Hill, that task force is chaired by Kathleen Spihar, and we have a history task force. Again, that's a very large group as well, and that group is chaired by Doug Alderson. So really, there are more than 100 individuals right now involved in all of the task forces, and certainly that number will only continue to grow. So event highlights, it's really exciting because the key to these anniversaries is having it be very organic and very locally grown, where you want individuals and organizations embracing this. So many organizations already have been thinking about events for the bicentennial. Many organizations and individuals are already well on their way of planning different events. Like some are utilizing existing events and weaving in a bicentennial theme. Others are creating brand new events specifically dedicated to the bicentennial. Vel has compiled a running list. Right now we have over more than 40 confirmed events. We have 20 kind of pending of folks that we say, oh, this is what we know, what we're doing. And again, that number will only grow as we continue this year as the word gets out, because right now there's still a lot of people that don't even know we have a bicentennial next year. You know, so that's really ties back to our marketing task force. And again, I can go into much more detail on all of our task force, but again, want to kind of keep this top level. And of course, there will be a calendar of events on the website when it launches in early July. And these are some of the examples that we know to date. Again, there's exhibits, speaker series, parades, galas, interfaith service, performances, concerts, family reunions. Again, the gamut of events are being planned. And again, very, very exciting to see this all come together. And again, we're just getting started on this. Ways to get involved, which is very important, because success really means that all corners of our community are involved and represented and engaged in the bicentennial. So here are just a few ways that people can get involved. Beginning in July, we're going to have monthly meetings, bicentennial Zoom meetings, where people can learn, get informed, hear from, we're holding up, there are already, like I said, a number of entities that already have events planned, some planned monthly throughout the year. So we're going to have featured speakers on the calls. And so I have found in the past that works when other people hear what other people are doing. They're like, oh, we can do that. And we can do this for our groups. Again, we want to share what's already, you know, hear from some of the individuals that are already planning events. And then, of course, we'll be sharing more information just on the bicentennial in general. So joining a task force is another way that people can get involved. So you can attend the meetings, any of the meetings really, but join a task force, plan an event, involve your, get a community service project, your school, your church, or your neighborhood. And obviously the website, when we launch it, will be really where it will be the one-stop shop for all the information on the bicentennial. So all the meeting schedules, et cetera. So next, I want to cover last week. Thank you very much. We were able to host the Bicentennial Steering Committee meeting here in the Tallahassee room, and the Bicentennial Steering Committee identified a theme for the bicentennial based on the great work of the marketing task force. The task force was originally focusing on coming up with a slogan, but these brilliant marketing minds, and I mean, there's some of the best marketing minds in our community on this bicentennial marketing task force. So again, they were going to dig deep, and they did, and they came up with a theme to tell our community story, and they presented that to the steering committee last week, in which again, everybody, it was unanimously adopted, and everybody started talking about it. So now the real work will be in the marketing task force, putting this all into the marketing plan. But it really started with reflection and an inspirational quote from John Adams, who's our second president, having a chat with young Ralph Waldo Emerson. And what John Adams said is, I wish to God there were more ambition in the country. And by that, I mean ambition of the laudable kind, ambition to excel. And so when they really thought about this, they said, okay, when we think about Tallahassee, ambition really does define our past and our present and our future. And this is really the opportunity to tell those stories. So really, ambition has been evident from the start. From our humble beginnings of the very first capital to now our community is capital of the third largest state in the country. Truly, ambition is who we are throughout every chapter of our history. We have ambition to innovate, and Lord knows we've proven we can innovate here. Our ambition to commemorate, we do always, it's important to commemorate our past. As a community, we recognize that. Illuminate, our ambition to illuminate, we constantly shine the light on artistic expression. Our ambition to activate, we are performance-driven here. Our ambition to educate, because we are training and enlightening and teaching the next generation. Our ambition to elevate, that we preserve our environment in ways that we still enjoy today. Create, we are all creators. There's so many creators in our communities, and artisans and makers. Again, we have much ambition to create here. Ambition to celebrate, not only to recognize, again, the diversity of our community, but also we know how to throw a party. And our ambition to appreciate, to give ourselves a moment and really reflect on what a special community Tallahassee is. So as we turn 200 years old, a new opportunity is upon us. So really, it's an opportunity to tell our story as Tallahassee and Leon County and to share and declare our ambitions for the next 100 years. So in conclusion, again, I want to remind us that 2023 is the planning and development year. Remember, we're building the plane while we're flying it. And at the end of 2024, our 200th anniversary, a key takeaway would be that everyone that hears stories or hears or sees or reads stories about Tallahassee and Leon County, that they know that we've been ambitious from the beginning. So thank you for the opportunity to be here with you all today. That concludes my presentation. Again, this is just very top level. I could talk for hours and hours about what else is going on and some of the task forces. So thank you for the opportunity to be here, and I'd be happy to take any questions.
Thanks, Carrie. First of all, Jim, do we got any public comment on this item? Even though there's no action, it's just a presentation.
No, sir.
All right. Hey, let's open it up. Conversation, questions for Carrie. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Carrie and team. We've had great conversations about this, and we also talked about from the beginning, not only the word ambitious was not used, but it was the action that was taking place to make sure that we were going to be inclusive, because the celebrations of the past have not been. But this time, we wanted to make sure that everybody had a part, and I see a diverse group of individuals, even in the presentation. So if we start with that as an ambitious task, I know that when we come to celebrate, we will be able to all celebrate together. So thank you for that. Now, for my Gadsden County folk, let me just remind Tallahassee, Leon, where you came from. You came out of Gadsden County. So don't forget about where you came from. Make sure you point west when we're celebrating, because if not, I'm going to remind you.
Absolutely.
All right.
And by the way, Carrie, you're still developing. So I know my colleagues probably have some great ideas. And so if not today, just contact you directly, I'm
Yes.
assuming, as a member. Okay,
Absolutely.
excellent. Other comments, questions? Commissioner Porter.
I just want to thank you for coming to present. It's something that I know we all have an interest in, and I feel very comfortable knowing it's in your hands and with everyone you're working with, and I hope to stay engaged. So I've really appreciated the presentation, and I'm excited to see what we come up with. Thank you.
Any other comments?
Great work. Look forward to it.
Yeah, Carrie, I got to tell you, I am, first of all, it's an honor to be mayor during the bicentennial. I'm looking forward to next year. And at first, I didn't know exactly how we were going to pursue this. I am so pleased organically how we have got a community-wide committee of dedicated volunteers from all different walks of life that are really planning a year-long celebration. The burden of responsibility does not fall solely on the city of Tallahassee or solely on Leon County, but you actually have some really dedicated people. And I know if anybody else wants to get involved, they could throw their hat in the ring and and we would accept them with open arms.
We
But,
encourage it.
yeah, we really, really appreciate everything that you're all doing. Please tell the committee how much we appreciate it.
Okay, well, and thank you for Deontay and Courtney, who they are very, very active and engaged. I think they're on 5 task forces, so they are very much active, engaged in the whole discussion. So thank you for your leadership, for carrying this torch there for a while, and thank you now for your commitment and support.
I think that was Deontay's first presentation since joining my office. He did all right today. Deontay, we're proud of you.
Great job.
Thank you, Carrie. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, we are moving on. We are on the consent agenda. Have any items been pulled off the consent agenda?
No, sir.
Okay. Mr. Clerk, do we have any public comment on a consent item that needs to be pulled?
We do not.
Okay.
Move consent.
Second.
All right. The consent agenda has been properly moved by the Mayor Pro Tem, seconded by Commissioner Curtis Richardson. Any further discussion? Seeing none. Motion on the table is for consent. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, passes unanimously 5-0. We are on item 10.01, the Joint City-County Bicycle Working Group appointment. Mr. Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This agenda item is to fill a vacant City Commission appointed seat on the Joint City-County Bicycling Work Group. Paul Renfro is recommended for approval to a term that will expire in December of 2025.
Okay, do we have any public comment on this item?
No, sir.
Move staff recommendation.
Second.
Been properly moved by the Mayor Pro Tem, seconded by Commissioner Richardson. Any further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor of the motion on the table signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Passes unanimously 5-0. Item 10.02, Mr. Clerk.
Item 10.02 recommends reappointment of Sunny Phillips to the Audit Committee. Her term expired May 31st, 2023. Being reappointed, she would begin a term June 1st of 2023 through May 31st of 2026.
Do we have any public comment on this item?
No, sir.
Move staff recommendation.
Second.
It's been properly moved by the Mayor Pro Tem, seconded by Commissioner Richardson. Any further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? Passes unanimously 5-0. Item 10.03, Mr. Clerk.
Thank you, Mayor. Item 10.03 is a Municipal Code Enforcement Board appointment. Gwen Verostek had a term expire May 31st of 2023. This item recommends reappointment of Gwen Verostek to a term beginning June 1st of 2023, expiring in May of 2026.
Okay, do we have any public comment on this item?
No, sir.
Move staff recommendation.
Second.
It's been properly moved by the Mayor Pro Tem, seconded by Commissioner Richardson. Any further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor of the motion on the table signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? Passes unanimously, 5-0. Item 10.04, Mr. Clerk.
This item is for Airport Advisory Committee appointments. Mayor and Commissioners, there are 4 individuals whose seats will expire at the end of this month. This item recommends reappointment of the following: Sue Dick, Fred Flowers, Kevin Graham, and Bennett Napier, to terms that will begin July 1st of this year and expire June 30th of 2026.
Okay, do we have any public comment on this item?
No, sir.
Move staff recommendation.
Second.
It's been properly moved by the Mayor Pro Tem, seconded by Commissioner Richardson. Any further comment? Seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Passes unanimously, 5-0. Item 10.05, Mr. Clerk.
Item 10.05 calls for a ratification. The Tallahassee-Leon County Planning Commission has a school board appointee whose term expires June 30th of 2023, and the school board has reappointed Roderick McQueen to a second term. According to the Planning Commission bylaws, the Leon County School Board's selection must be confirmed by both the city and county commissions. The County Board of County Commissioners ratified the appointment at their June 13th meeting. The recommended action for you tonight is to also ratify the school board's reappointment of Roderick McQueen to a term beginning July 1st and expiring June 30th of 2026.
Okay, do we have any public comment on this item?
No, sir.
Move staff recommendation to ratify.
Second.
It's been properly moved by the Mayor Pro Tem, seconded by Commissioner Richardson. Any further comment? Seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Passes unanimously, 5-0. Item 10.06, Mr. Clerk.
Item 10.06 recommends appointment of Will Shepard to a term on the Planning Commission that will begin July 1st, 2023 and expire on June 30th, 2026. It will be his first term.
Do we have any public comment on this item?
We do have one speaker on this item, Mayor. Stephen Martin is registered to speak. I'm making sure, yep, he is connected virtually. I believe this is our first speaker of the meeting, but he, along with all of our other speakers, will have 3 minutes for remarks.
Great. Mr. Martin, your name and address for the record, please, sir.
All right. You can hear me?
Yes.
Can you
Yes,
hear
sir.
me? Okay. Stephen Martin, 2625 Stonegate Drive. It was a little bit less than a year ago that we had a planning commission appointment, and one of the commissioners brought up about only being given one applicant to consider for that one, even though there might have been other ones. So I was wondering if Mr. Shepard was the only applicant for this, or if this is another case where the commission only considers one of the applicants. The applicant from last year who was appointed was with a law firm that's represented developers in front of the commission before, and this appointee is a real estate broker. I've commented several times in front of the Planning Commission about a lack of diversity, not in physical appearance, but in thoughts about land use, ideology about land use. Ever since I've been following that commission, and that's been for 20 years, there hasn't been any counter voice. There's a strong pro-development bias amongst the members, and adding a real estate broker just continues to give the appearance of intentionally stacking the commission with people who look differently, and you can say it's diverse, but who don't think differently. So I would recommend in the future to give greater consideration to more applicants if there are them, and to try and on occasion get at least a countervailing voice there. I'm not asking for a majority even to be literally questioning of development and the idea that bigger is better. But this commission is very much stacked in favor of developers. So this appointment, again, I don't know Mr. Shepard. I don't have anything against him, but it does continue to give the appearance of trying to stack it with people who are going to rubber stamp these proposals to get through. And I'll be speaking about a development later. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker, please.
That was the only speaker we have on the item.
Sure. Let me remind my colleagues that, as always, it's not a rubber stamp. If anybody would like to, I would always ask when people are volunteering their name that we watch out for any type of character assassination or anything. But if you would like to go in a different direction, by all means, we can do that. Mr. Shepard, in particular, was recommended through my office. I know that Tallahassee Board of Realtors, throughout the time, has reached out to each and every one of us, expressing an interest to be more involved. I know that they meet with us, and so they have recommended Mr. Shepard, who is a past president. He has also served on our Code Enforcement Board, Joint City-County Code Enforcement Board, for the past two terms, I believe, and has done a very, very good job. So his name is up for recommendation. I intend to support it. So open it up for discussion. Sure, Mayor Pro Tem.
Mr. Mayor, having served on the Planning Commission, knowing how I got there, anyone who wants to do this work for free and be scrutinized and put under what folks are being put under to serve our community in a voluntary basis, I think that barring not being, having some legal or mental or whatever challenges, I think we should give every citizen who takes the time to apply and themselves and put themselves out there the opportunity to serve. We have 30-plus citizens advisory committees, and the county has advisory committees as well. Everyone is welcome to apply. And so with that, I support the appointment of Mr. Will Shepard, because I know what he's going to be going through.
Sure.
Went through it myself.
Motion's been made by Mayor Pro Tem and seconded by Commissioner Richardson. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Passes unanimously, 5-0. We're on item number 10.07. Mr. Clerk.
The City of Tallahassee Code of Ordinances provides that the city manager appoint code magistrates, but those appointments are subject to ratification by the City Commission. The recommended action for the City Commission this afternoon is to ratify the city manager's appointment of Sabrita Thurman Newby to serve as code magistrate. Upon ratification, she would serve out an unexpired term on a seat that's currently vacant, and that will expire on May 31st of 2025.
Excellent. Do we have any public comment on this item?
No, sir.
Okay.
Happy to move for ratification of Ms. Sabrina Thurman Newby.
All right, motion's been made by the Mayor Pro Tem, seconded by Commissioner Richardson. Commissioner Matlow.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I support this appointment. My question, Mr. Cook, the vacancy on the code board, is that open now?
Or is there an open seat, or are you saying, are we open for application?
Are we open for applications now that it's been, Ms. Thurman Newby was on the code enforcement board, correct?
Right, yes. So yes, if applications are open, people should be able to go to talgov.com and apply. All of our boards and committees, we typically keep those open, and if there's a vacant seat, clearly we're looking for immediate interest, and then even if a seat is not vacant, we'll take that application and hold it until such time as a vacancy comes available.
Great, thank you.
All right, Commissioner Porter.
And I think, too, now we have 2 vacancies because of Mr. Shepard being appointed. According to his application, it says, will resign as Vice Chair of Code Enforcement Board if appointed. So looks like we'll have 2 then.
I think you're correct on there.
Yeah.
I didn't look at that before I came into the meeting. I think that's accurate.
Actually, Commissioner Porter, I misspoke. It's not a joint code enforcement. He will be retiring from the county code enforcement board. And so I believe that will be their appointment.
Okay.
I just saw there was another board I didn't know about. I was like, we have so many.
Yeah, no, I misspoke. It's not a joint board. And as soon as I said it, I realized that I misspoke. It's a county, and we have one, they have one. Good point. All right, seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of the motion on the table signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Passes unanimously 5-0. Do we have any other appointments before us, Mr. Clerk?
No, sir.
All right, Madam Attorney, introduction of ordinances 11.01.
Thank you, Mayor. Item number 11.01 is the introduction of ordinance number 23-0-23, an ordinance of the City of Tallahassee, Florida, creating a foreclosure registry, providing findings, purpose, and intent of the ordinance for the registration and inspection of distressed properties within the City of Tallahassee, Florida, for posting and maintenance requirements for the distressed properties within the City of Tallahassee, Florida, and for penalties and enforcement, providing for conflict, severability, and an effective date. The recommended action is option 1, introduce ordinance number 23-0-23 and set the first and only public hearing for the City Commission meeting on August 23, 2023 at 6:00 p.m. in the City Commission chambers at City Hall.
Okay, Mr. Clerk, do we have any public comment?
No, sir.
Colleagues?
I would like to move option number 1 as recommended by the city attorney. Mr. Mayor.
Second.
All right, Commissioner Richardson has properly moved staff recommendation for option number 1, seconded by the Mayor Pro Tem. Any further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Passes unanimously 5-0. 11.02, Madam Attorney.
Item number 11.02 is the introduction of ordinance number 23-0-26, an ordinance of the City of Tallahassee, Florida, establishing a community development district to be known as the East Ridge Community Development District pursuant to Chapter 190 Florida statutes, naming the district, describing the external boundaries of the district, describing the functions and powers of the district, designating 5 persons to serve as the initial members of the district's Board of Supervisors, providing for conflict, severability, and an effective date. Recommended action is option 1, introduce ordinance number 23-0-26, and set the first and only public hearing for August 23, 2023 at 6:00 p.m. in the City Commission chambers of City Hall.
Okay, do we have any public comment on this item, Mr. Clerk?
We don't have public comment, but Jennifer Kalinsky is here to answer questions if you have any.
Okay, excellent.
Move option number 1 as recommended by the city attorney, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Okay, it's been properly moved by Commissioner Richardson for staff recommendation, option number 1, seconded by the Mayor Pro Tem. Any further comment? Seeing none. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Passes unanimously 5-0. Item 11.03, Madam Attorney.
Item number 11.03 3, introduction of ordinance number 23-Z-21, an ordinance of the City of Tallahassee, Florida, designating and including additional territory located on 2.53 acres located at 3333 Thomasville Road near I-10, approximately 375 feet south of the intersection of Raymond Dill Road and Thomasville Road, as in the City of Tallahassee Commercial Parkway from office residential on the official zoning map of the City of Tallahassee, adopted and established by the City Commission, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, and providing an effective date. The recommended action is option 1, introduce ordinance number 23-Z-21 and set the first and only public hearing for August 23rd at 6:00 p.m. in the City of Tallahassee City Commission chambers at City Hall. Any ex parte disclosures concerning this item are available via the hyperlink included in the agenda item as published in the board doc system.
Excellent, thank you. Do we have any public comment on this item?
No, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Colleagues?
Move staff recommendation as presented by the city attorney. Mr. Mayor.
Second.
It's been properly moved for staff recommendation option number 1 by Commissioner Richardson, seconded by the Mayor Pro Tem. Any further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Passes unanimously 5-0. Do we have any other introduction of ordinances to come before us today, Madam Attorney?
No, we do not.
We're on policy formation and direction. 12.01 has been pulled off the agenda. We're on 12.02, the acceptance of an FDOT battery electric demand response vehicle. Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. Let me invite Angela Baldwin, our Director of Star Metro, and Dominique Maddox to come forward. They've got a short presentation. I'll highlight, we're asking for your approval to adopt a resolution that will allow us to accept another battery bus. And I'd just like to underscore the work that our fleet department is doing, as well as Star Metro, to take us into the future, be leaders in a renewable energy future that involve electric vehicles. And so this particular request and the offer extended by DOT, I think, reflects us as a leader and that they want to partner with us to move into the future. And with that, I would like Angela to make the introduction, and we've got a short presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Good afternoon. As noted by the manager, once again, we're at the forefront of providing sustainable transportation equipped with environmentally friendly technologies to meet the needs of our community. We're well positioned in our partnership, as the manager mentioned, with Fleet Management to assist with this FDOT pilot program. And we're excited to be the public transit leader in advancing the state of Florida's clean energy goals. Here to share more information is Star Metro's new transit services manager, Dominique Maddox.
Dominique, congratulations.
All right, Dominique.
Thank you. Good afternoon, City Manager, Mayor, Commissioners, and appointed officials. Thank you for giving us this opportunity to highlight Star Metro and Fleet Management's next step in our drive toward going 100% battery electric by 2035. This item supports the city's 2019 Clean Energy Resolution and the city's 5-year strategic plan, specifically our objectives to ensure public transit is accessible, efficient, and equitable, and to be a leader in environmental stewardship. As you know, the City of Tallahassee, Star Metro, and Fleet Management's departments are leading the state with our battery electric vehicle fleet operations. In fact, it is because of our experience in managing and operating BEV fleets, our ability to charge and maintain vehicles, and our strong relationships with BEV manufacturers that enables us to partake in this unique opportunity with the Florida Department of Transportation, which is to test and use a battery electric paratransit vehicle in full service. In Florida, there are no battery electric paratransit vehicles being used in full service by any public transportation system until now. This 2-year pilot program will allow Star Metro to obtain a $283,000 demo vehicle to serve our Dollarite customers at no cost to the city. The van will offer the same equitable and accessible features as our other special transportation service vehicles while reducing greenhouse gas emissions, oil leaks, and other environmental hazards. In exchange, as a part of the pilot, we will track performance data that is critical to planning and implementing a full fleet of paratransit vehicles. Some of the data will include vehicle longevity, maintenance costs, operational impact, as well as customer and operator feedback. The city will submit this performance data to FDOT and their counterparts at the Center for Urban Transportation Research. The data will help FDOT work with all agencies, including ours, to source and procure efficient paratransit vans, as well as to build reliable operational systems across the state of Florida. Since 2012, the City of Tallahassee has led the battery electric mass transportation movement, and this is yet another first. The FDOT partnership offers sustainable transportation options to our Dollarite customers and sets the groundwork for helping other paratransit service providers transition to zero-emission fleets. Staff recommends option 1 to approve the acceptance of the no cost to us battery electric demand response vehicle from FDOT. Representatives both from Star Metro and Fleet Management staff are here and available to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Do we have any public comment, Mr. Clerk?
No, sir.
Dominique, your first presentation as a member of the Star Metro family, and you bring us $283,000 in a free vehicle. That's good work. Keep it up. Keep it up. Nice presentation. Colleagues.
Move staff recommendation on option number 1.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor?
All right.
And I would second that.
Commissioner Richardson has properly moved staff recommendation for option number 1, seconded by the Mayor Pro Tem. Commissioner Richardson,
Thank
you are
you.
recognized.
Mr. Mayor, here again, an example of how the City of Tallahassee leads in so many ways and is recognized by that type of leadership. We, as a commission, approved a resolution to become carbon neutral by the year 2050. Our goal, though, is to achieve that designation by 2035. I think Star Metro is positioning themselves to do that, at least in our transit system operations. And I want to congratulate Ms. Baldwin. Dominique, congratulations to you now as a new member of the staff, but all of those at Star Metro who are moving us forward and seeing that not only our state Department of Transportation recognize us for our efforts, but I think this will be recognized by transit authorities all over the nation. And we are proud of what you all have accomplished and the kind of recognition it brings to our city. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Agreed. Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem.
I wanted to say ditto and congratulations, but I also wanted to say what we may have missed. Dominique is a direct example of how we promote from within. She came from another department. She did a great job working with her team there, and now she has moved on to Star Metro, and I think that we can contribute that to how we grow our employees, and I appreciate the work that you did in the innovation group, and now you're innovating in another department. So congratulations to you on that, and we appreciate your hard work from the past. And of course, as Carrie said earlier, ambition, we've been ambitious from the beginning, and you're an example of how we continue to be ambitious, because we know that you are joining that team, the Star Metro team. They're already ambitious, so you're going to pile on, and we're just going to get to 2035 sooner than we realize in our renewable energy goal. Thank you all for that, for what you're doing.
Excellent. Well said. All those in favor of the motion on the table signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Passes unanimously 5-0. We are on item number 12.03, Mr. Manager.
Thank you, sir. The next two items also involve Star Metro. Item 1203 requests and seeks your approval to renew a 2-year contract with Florida A&M University to continue providing what is referred to as UPass services, whereby the university pays a discounted rate to Star Metro, and in exchange, their students can ride throughout Star Metro's system simply by showing their student ID. This partnership's been in place since 1995, and last year, for example, we provided 72,000 trips to FAMU students across our network. Angela Baldwin and her team are here to answer any questions you have on this item.
Wonderful. Madam Attorney, do we have any public comment on this item?
No, we have no speakers on
All
this.
right. Colleagues, Mayor Pro Tem.
As the rattler on the dais, let me recommend that we accept staff recommendation.
Motion's been made by the Mayor Pro Tem for staff recommendation, seconded by Commissioner Richardson.
Mr. Mayor, I wore my Rattler gear today
There you go.
in anticipation of seconding this motion.
There you go.
I second the motion.
There we go. Any other further comment? Seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Passes unanimously 5-0. Item number 12.04, Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Item 12.04 is similar to the prior item. We have a similar agreement with Florida State University. In this case, we're asking to amend that to include offering athletic and special event transportation services, which would also be complementary to the UPass service I just mentioned. And for example, there were 400,000 trips provided to Florida State University students last year within the network called the Seminole Express that's in and around campus, and 90,000 UPass program rides. Angela and her team are also here to answer questions on this item if you have them.
Excellent. Mr. Clerk, any public comment on this item?
No, sir.
Angela, quick question. Are we still the only community in the United States that provides the all-electric bus fleet to a university campus?
Yes, sir, we are.
That is something to hang our
we
hat
go.
on. And now I see that we are getting the different types of vehicles, this one in particular for Dial-A-Ride, but I know that FAMU's campus uses a different vehicle than that, so we are still moving towards that goal of being able to provide. That's great. That's
Absolutely.
wonderful. Excellent. Direction, comments?
Move staff recommendation, option number 1.
Commissioner Richardson has properly moved staff recommendation for option number 1. Is there a second on?
Second.
Seconded by the Mayor Pro Tem. Any further comment? Seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Passes unanimously 5-0. We are on item number 12.05. Mr. Manager.
Thank you. This item seeks your support for a request by the Tallahassee Housing Authority in the Orange Avenue redevelopment project for phase 3 of their project. It asks for you to reserve up to $1 million of American Rescue Plan Act funds and Community Development Block Grant Funds, CDBG funding, to support phase 3. As you know, you have previously supported phases 1 and 2. Phase 3 would bring the total number of affordable units to 390 units on this project. Over the last couple of days, the Leon County government has also approved the same request, and you know, as a CRA, you took action earlier this week. So this is the final step in that request. Kimball Thomas and Jean Amison from our housing group are here to provide a short presentation.
Dr. Thomas, I might be able to save you some time because we literally just heard this presentation yesterday, and it's the exact same item.
Absolutely.
Let me check real quick. Do we have public comment on this item, Mr. Clerk?
No, sir.
Okay. Colleagues, do we want the presentation? We just saw it yesterday.
Yeah.
Second.
Move option 1.
Okay. It's been properly moved for staff recommendation. No offense, but seriously, we just had the exact same presentation yesterday and took action, so.
And I do want to recognize the Executive Director, Brenda Williams, is here,
Yes.
and Director Tawana Thompson as well. from
Thank
Tallahassee
you.
Housing Authority.
Obviously, no disrespect to the issue, but since it's so fresh from yesterday, I think we could probably move forward.
And Mr. Mayor,
I got you, Commissioner Porter, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So wait, real quick, there is a motion on the table from the Mayor Pro Tem, seconded by Commissioner Richardson. Commissioner Richardson has the floor, and then I'll come back to Commissioner Porter.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I'll do this very quickly. I wanted to correct a statement that I made, I think it was this morning at the budget workshop. Ms. Williams corrected me. I said that there were 500 additional units being added to Orange Avenue. It's actually 200 being replaced and 300 additional units being added. I apologize for that misinformation earlier today, but I did want to correct that.
Still
That's
good news.
still a net total of 300 additional
Oh, good news.
low-income units for our community.
Sure. Commissioner Porter.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to say for those who are watching, members of the public, if you do want to hear the presentation, you can go to the CRA meeting, which was recorded. I just want to make sure in case anyone did want to watch the presentation that you know that it is available for you to watch.
Any further comment? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion on the table signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Passes unanimously 5-0. Commissioner Porter.
Thank you. Just a quick question. Were the outcome at the county commission was supportive as well?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. I just
That's
wanted to
correct.
confirm that. Thank you.
Great. We are on item number 12.06. Mr. Manager.
Thank you, sir. This item seeks your approval to allocate the remaining dollars to the Griffin Heights Neighborhood First fiscal year 23 plan. You'll recall you had previously allocated $1.85 million of the $2 million budgeted for this year. You asked that we get community input on the balance. That has happened, and $122,500 remains. This item recommends that you allocate that to fund improvements to the John G. Riley Park, consistent with the community's request. Ashley Edwards and John Baker are here. If you have any questions, they can answer them for us.
Quite honestly, I'm surprised this wasn't on consent since it was a community recommendation. Mr. Baker, hold on just a second. Do we have any public comment on this?
We do have two speakers on this item.
Okay. Mr. Baker, you want to provide a quick comment, then we'll go to a public comment on this.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mayor, Commissioner, back in March, you approved approximately $1.85 million of the $2 million that you had set aside in the fiscal year 23 budget for the Griffin Heights community, and directed that the community come together to determine how the $122,500 should be spent. Well, in May, we facilitated a community meeting where there was consensus and agreement to dedicate this funding to Riley Park. And so that's what this agenda item asks for your approval for that funding allocation. The next step is that our Parks Division will work with the community to determine what improvements should be made to the park.
Excellent. Thank you. Appreciate it. Public comment. Mr. Clerk.
First speaker is Donald Glasper, and the second speaker will be Stanley Sims.
Want to explain our light system?
Yes, since we did not have it at the budget workshop, but we do here. You'll have 3 minutes for remarks. The light immediately in front of the mayor and Mayor Pro Tem will be green, and it will turn yellow or amber when you have 30 seconds remaining, and red when the time's expired. And I'll try to give you a heads up when you're close.
Sir, thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. Your name and address for the record, please.
Thank you. Donald Glasper, 2613 Mission Road, and I'm here as a representative of the Griffin Heights community. I'm one of many advocates that's here today, and let me just digress just for a moment. I'm reminded as I'm standing here of one of the biggest community advocates that I'm aware of since I started watching the broadcast, and that was Miss Edwina Stevenson.
Yes.
I see where the post office has been named after her, and that's a wonderful tribute. So I stand on her shoulders and many others. So I won't prolong the time, as some of the preachers or pastors would say. I won't prolong the time. But do let me take my time to express some concerns that we have as a community association. And when it comes to the John G. Riley Park, I think we had reconciled the $122,500. And one of your charges, Mayor, was let's get the money out the door. Okay. And that was in March. Here we are in June. And we have developed a work group, and we have boots on the ground, and we are engaging the community about what it is that they desire, we need, we want. And we've even gone so far as to get bid requests. And somehow, this community action team and the process, it gets delayed. So our question is, how do we get access to the funds? We have prioritized a list of items that we need. Basic things like a pavilion to shield us from the rain.
You have about 20 seconds.
And there's other items. How do we access those funds, and where do we go from here? From March, and I don't have the number, just speaking off the top of my head, I do know that we have a problem with gun violence, and our group is trying to engage the community. We have done that.
Yes, sir.
And this park plays a central role in developing that.
Yes, sir. Well, the short answer is, I think we're about to authorize it right now. As soon as we get to commission discussion, I'm going to entertain a motion, and unless a majority decides not to move forward, which we're about to authorize the funding.
Okay.
Yep.
And we can share our list of priority items.
Yes, sir.
And we don't think that it's a big ask.
Excellent. Thank you. Our next speaker.
Stanley Sims.
Your name and address for the record, please, sir.
Hey, Mayor.
Thanks for joining
I'm
us.
Stanley Sims, and I'm cheating a little bit because it's supposed to be some bad weather, and my dog has anxiety attacks, so I got to get home and take care of Prince when it starts raining. So with that said, I did speak with Mr. John Baker today, and he said that they are trying to expedite to get this money out to the streets. And but when we're talking about our economic depressed areas, I listened to your argument at the end of the day when we were talking about affordable housing and where to cut. I just went in the bathroom, and I swear to God, the saint asked me for my name and address. That's some high technology stuff. Now, I'm not able to go through City Hall, but there's been renovations done in this building. We don't put our stuff on the bags and send through. They got some Orgatron stuff in the atmosphere that this stuff is expensive. I believe we can cut some of this stuff back and get us that $5 million for that trust fund that ministry group is asking for. There are ways we can find cuts. But some of this stuff has become so entitled. Our upper level management staff have nice luxury vehicles that we pay for. Put them in some electrical vehicles, them small ones, them Prius. That'll save us a lot of money. We've got 189 city employees that don't make $15 an hour. And majority of that 189 are not close to $14. And some of that 189 work at facilities that collect revenue. But their top boss makes a salary within market price, but the people that cut the grass, pick up the golf balls, like my son, pick up the golf carts, they're making below market price. It's those people that I have to keep a good relationship with Miss Brenda Williams just in case my son needs somewhere to live. He can go over there to Orange Avenue because it's off the chain over there. Gate Community Living. Y'all better get on board. It's nice. But there are ways we can cut, Mr.
You're at
Manager.
30 seconds.
There are ways we can cut. We just need to look at them. Maybe not 20 police officers, maybe 18. We're only talking about 189. If we just cut the salaries of 3 of your assistant city managers that make $200,000 base salaries, we could bring all of those 189 up to $15 an hour. It's just, Will, I got to go, my dog.
Thank you. Thank you. Don't know if that was.
Staff recommendation option number 1.
Second.
Yeah, I don't support cutting funding for this program. We're going
That's
to move
not the
forward.
agenda item.
The option number 1 that's being recommended has been properly moved by Commissioner Richardson, seconded by the Mayor Pro Tem. Commissioner Matlow.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I support the motion on the table. I just want to, thank the neighborhood advocates. I know government doesn't always move as fast as we'd like it, and there's, differences when money gets allocated before it gets approved by the commission. But I think, we're here today because of your advocacy, and I would ask, Mr. City Manager or whoever would be most appropriate, after this is approved today, can you let them know what the next steps are and when they would see some concrete action happening?
Excellent. All right, any other comment?
Mr. Mayor, let me just point
Sure,
out that
Mayor Pro Tem.
in this list of items that the neighborhood had itemized, and thank you all again for your advocacy. Miracle Hill Nursing Home was one of those items, and they needed in some intervention in an emergency way, and it did happen. So that has been taken care of because that's a very important anchor in our community. So, and I know that there's some action also taking place over on Alabama Street as well. So there are some things that are taking place, and I'm believing and trusting that between Mr. Baker and Ms. Edwards and Deputy City Manager Barber, they're going to get you what you need, and they're going to do it expeditiously and legally and dot every I and cross every T. So they're going to move forward and make that happen. But I wanted to point out that there are some things on this list that have been already taken care of and will be taken care of. So keep the faith, and it's going to happen. Thank you.
Excellent. Yeah, Commissioner Richardson.
I too want to point out to you all the historic nature of this funding. Never in the history of Tallahassee, Leon County, in the 50 years that I've lived here at least, has the city of Tallahassee invested in historically neglected neighborhoods in our city. We're doing it substantially, and that's historic, and we are committed to continuing that kind of investment until every citizen, regardless of where they live in the city of Tallahassee, feel like they live in the all-America city that we have been twice designated. I just wanted to point that out.
Excellent. All those in favor of the motion on the table signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, passes unanimously 5-0. We're on item number 12.07, Mr. Manager.
Thank you, sir. The city, we issued an RFP, a request for a proposal for a software solution that includes work and asset management field mobile work management systems for a variety of city departments. This item seeks your approval to award that work for the work and asset management field mobile work management and implementation services to IFS North America. Tim Davis, our Technology and Innovation Director, is here to answer any questions you have on this item.
Thank you, Mr. City Manager. Mr. Clerk, do we have any public speakers on this item?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Board, Commissioner, do you have any questions of the T&I Director?
Move staff recommend.
Go ahead. Oh, no, I was saying we'll entertain a motion.
Oh, move staff recommendation option number 1.
Okay. Okay, it's been properly moved and second that we accept staff recommendation. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? With the mayor is in chamber, so he's voting. It's a unanimous vote. All opposed? Thank you. It's a unanimous vote. Thank you very much. Mr. City Manager, item number 12.08.
Thank you, ma'am. This is the last policy item. It seeks your approval to apply for and accept and expend the fiscal year 23 Pipeline and Hazardous Materials Safety Administration, that's the PHMSA, Natural Gas Distribution Infrastructure Safety Modernization Grant. I think if we spelled that right and wrote it out correctly on the grant application, we should be successful.
Should be.
This is a significant grant that we'll be seeking of $15 million over 5 years. It is part of the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, or the BIL. Stephen Mayfield is our Assistant General Manager for Operations and head of our gas utility, and he's joined by Tony Guillen, our General Manager of Electric and Gas. They're here to answer any questions that you have.
So as I understand it, we're basically saying we need permission to apply and accept it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
That's correct.
All right. Mr. City Clerk, any speakers?
No, ma'am.
All right.
Move staff recommendation option number 1, Madam Chair.
Second.
It's been properly moved and second that we accept staff recommendation. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Welcome back, Mayor.
Thank you. Do we have any other items come before the City Commission?
No, sir.
Okay, we did very well. We're not going to make people wait around until after the public hearing for unagended speakers. If there's anybody here that would like to speak on an unagended item, we'll go ahead and take you now so you don't have to wait for 2 hours till afterwards. And if you have not filled out a card, just please do so. Excellent, sounds great. Come join us real quick. Your name and address for the record, please.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Commissioners. My name is Sandra Rogers. My address is 3510 Sunnyside Drive, Tallahassee. I'm in the Sherwood Park community, and I have various concerns, but I'm only going to speak to you about two. I'm being time, okay. So first is that Ridge Road development where they approved for those apartments to go up on Ridge Road. Everybody in the community is against it. We met. Not that we're against affordable housing, we want that, but there is going to be no improvement to the road. There are narrow roads. We foresee major traffic problems as well as increased crime in the area. It's being put next to some very already problematic trailer park, which we think is going to be, along with the increased traffic, and we didn't get a clear answer on these, whether they're low income, Section 8 or what, but sometimes low income, when you have a great accumulation in one area, people don't have the resources to keep up their property and to do everything that we, want to have our neighborhood look nice. So we are very concerned, the homeowners, in that. That same road, Ridge Road, is filthy. I have videos that I have been taking for weeks and weeks for anyone who would like to see. When you ride up and down the street, it looks like the pictures I see from Ukraine war. Everything out on the streets is horrible. I have called code enforcement so many times. That whole department is, I don't know what to say about it. I'm speechless because I have not gotten anywhere with it. We had a meeting in February. They sent a representative from the code enforcement department. I guess people were so frustrated, they started asking question, and they were complaining. He turned around, took a card out his pocket, put it down, and walked out the door and said, y'all call into the office, and maybe they'll help answer your questions. That's unacceptable. So instead of coming over there, cleaning up that area and fixing it, you dumping more stuff on there that the residents don't want. That's very arrogant for you to put something in an area where the homeowners said to you they don't want it. It was zoned single family. You changed it to multi-dwelling in 2016, but the planning board suggested that you put things there that could benefit the community, something for the children, something for senior citizens. There's not even a doable park in the area. I have called and we have not gotten any help. So we would like to see some improvements in the area instead of just building on top of the garbage that's already there. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Mr. John Reddick, I know you're here with us. If you could touch base and bring up the speed of the resident on her concerns. I'm not exactly familiar where we are in that process. On top of that, Mr. Aflani, if we can get our teams out there in regards to beautification, cleanup on Ridge Road, that'd be great. Mr. Manager, if you could check in with code enforcement, that is unacceptable behavior. Went down like that, and we got to make sure that doesn't happen again. But if we need to get code enforcement out there as well, proactively, let's make sure we take care of that. All right, I kind of jumped the gun on that. I apologize. Mr. Clerk, unagended speakers.
We do have 3 additional speakers, Mayor. The next is B. Wright, and then Whitfield Leland.
Mr. Mayor, as the speaker comes, can the speaker, Mr. Reddick is in the back waiting to meet with you.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us. Your name and address for the record, please.
Hi, my name is Bree. I just came today to speak with you all to make some requests. First of all, thank you guys for allowing me to speak to you today. I came to request want to stop at Blairstone and Governor Square Boulevard for the Star Metro, particularly on the night route and as well as the Sunday route. I think it should be, if not already, I'm not sure, an operational goal to have or bring residents and transport residents to shopping areas or areas that are commercial, and to continue to support that effort, as well as another stop for on the W route, which is supported by Big Bend Transit. And that is going to, the reason why is that one's by Target, which is a really common grocery store for most users, or for most residents, because currently there's no route or any bus that goes strictly or straight from the terminal to that shopping area. I think that would be particularly useful, just even for a small amount of people that do. In addition, I saw that you guys have the Sustainable Act with the electric fleet. So I wanted to request that the operators are notified and just informed of any plans for contingencies, such as when adopting those vehicles, and in terms of the process of keeping them charged, any things that we would call them edge cases. So looking and surveying to see what could possibly go awry, such as, I'm not sure what the terminal or the facilities to power those vehicles are, but making sure that the operators, as well as maybe even some of the community, are aware of the things that we're doing to make sure that they stay running, stay operational, and that they can be relied upon. Thank you so much.
Excellent. Wonderful, reasonable requests. And we have our Star Metro team right in the back that I know they'll be able to address your request.
Right there, they're waiting.
Right in the back. Angela's right there. Thanks for joining us. Your name and address for the record, please.
Good afternoon, Whitfield Leland, 754 West 7th Avenue. I wanted to just stop by today to bring us back into focus. It seems like we're getting held hostage again with what the needs is of the community. All of us have different opinions on what should take first or what should take precedence. We have, last I checked, over $4.1 million in a fund to target gun violence, and it's caught up in political litigation. I'm gonna just say that. However, ain't nothing being done with it. Now, we want, well, let's just put it, the church wants $5 million for affordable housing. In my community, because that's what it's going to affect, the black community, that's not an issue. We want opportunities. We want, if we're going to use a funding, we want to be able to create opportunities so that we can afford to go live in Southwood. Where we living at, it ain't a problem. But we want to be able to go live in Southwood. So, but we need the opportunities and those programmings and the same thing that, like, you got to create the opportunity. Affordable housing is not an issue. If we're going to put money towards an initiative, let's go at what's really the issue, poverty. Let's do a poverty initiative. Affordable housing falls up under that. Homelessness falls up under that. Gun violence falls up under that. And if we deal with that, we take care of a little bit of the gun violence, we take care of a little bit of the homelessness, we take care of a little bit of the affordable housing, because people getting certified with jobs where I ain't got to go entry level at McDonald's if I'm coming in as a certified food handler. I make top dollar because they need me on every shift. So I don't want us to get tied up into what people think the community needs. Let's do what the community really needs. And if we're going to do that, let's talk to the what we call them trusted voices, the people on the ground. Today I visit 2 summer camps, Dr. Judy Mandrell and Girl Sadiva. I also visit Lake Bradford, the trailer park where the little boy got shot by accident
You have 15
this
seconds.
weekend. So, like, we got a whole lot of stuff. Affordable housing ain't the issue. We need to create opportunities so these type of stuff and these programs continue to strive in our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker.
Next speaker is Harry Brown. Mayor, that's the last unagended speaker I have at this time. We do have some other speakers for public hearings.
Okay, excellent. Thanks for joining us. Your name and address for the record, please.
I'm Harry Brown. I reside at 5431 Crump Road. Mayor Daley, I thank you for bringing Pastor Ben Kempler to render the invocation on May 10th. I thank God for putting such pertinent and touching prayer on the pastor's heart. He let you leaders know that at best you are simply broken vessels and crooked sticks trying to draw straight lines. In everything I have experienced here at City Hall, the leaders who are not trying to draw straight lines. Daily, on May 10th, you vehemently stated that you agreed with what your attorney, Jackson, said, the information that she gave you, that she brought you regarding the city wrongfully taking my severance pay of $31,000 that the city manager stated that she had discretion and she could do what she wanted to me. That's not the government. At the sidebar that we had, your attorney stated to me that she works for the City of Tallahassee, letting me know that she had no concern for me. Now, slavery was ended over 150 years ago, but she is still carrying a slave mentality that she should give her masters what they want. It does not matter whether it's wrong. Ms. Jackson, you have an education. I suggest that you find a job where you can work for everyone concerned and get away from this dichotomized institution. I suggest that you both go back and read the city's policy regarding severance pay. I suggest that everyone on the dais read the city's policy so you can help do the right thing, if you want to do the right thing. I have always heard that it is never too late to do the right thing. Now, Ms. Cox, I saw a story regarding you praying to the Lord to take care of your grandchildren on Facebook. In your next prayer, please pray for God to help you draw a straight line, to help bring equality to the city's greatest assets, who are the employees in our city government.
You have 20 seconds remaining.
Gotcha. Our black and minority employees have never been treated fairly in this government. This government had always found that blacks who work in congruence with your racist and bigots policy. Lou Shelley stated that what the city did to me was wrong. Why is there such a difference between you, Ms. Jackson, and Lou Shelley?
Thank you, Mr. Brown.
You need to get it straight.
Thank you, Mr. Brown.
Thank you.
Our next speaker.
No further speakers at this time.
All right, anybody else here would like to speak on unagended items so you don't have to wait till, 6:30, 6:20? Seeing none. Colleagues, you want to do sharing of the ideas now?
Yeah.
Okay, well, Commissioner Richardson, you spoke first. We'll go with you.
Okay, it was the same, well, first I wanted to, again, as I did at the CRA, at the end of the CRA meeting, encourage anyone who has not had the opportunity to visit the asphalt art in the Bond community. It was a wonderful, or has been, a wonderful addition to that community. I think there may be an article in today's Tallahassee Democrat about it. So if you haven't had an opportunity, it's right along Saxon Street. You can access it from Orange Avenue near Nims Middle School. And it's 3 intersections and 9 crosswalks that are impacted. It's wonderful. I would also let you know that on Saturday, the 17th, You all may or may not know, Juneteenth is celebrated on June 19th in parts of the country when slaves were initially or were made aware of the fact that the president had signed the Emancipation Proclamation freeing the slaves. But it's here in Tallahassee, going to be celebrated on Saturday, June 17th, beginning at 12 noon. I hope I got that start time correct. But it's the Juneteenth Empowerment Festival, and it will be held in beautiful Cascades Park for anyone who might be interested in attending. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Great. Commissioner Matlow.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A couple questions. Mr. City Manager, can you give us an update on where we're at with the new police station facility at Northwood?
Mr. Manager.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Right now, work is happening on site. It's horizontal underground work that will involve the utilities, stormwater utilities, ultimately result in laying out the property with asphalt and kind of setting the frame for it. The next step would be then moving into, for the police department, the foundation work. Then you would see that coming out of the ground. We've not gotten the final design on that. I expect that within months before the end of the year, and that would take us to the next step. So right now you see a lot of groundwork. You see the site being readied for ultimately the foundation work to begin next year.
And correct me if I'm wrong, in the CIP, I see an allocation for 2024 for nearly $7 million, but nothing after that. Would the intent be to look for bond funding after that allocation, or when will we know the total cost of the facility?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In years prior, we've assigned dollars as well. So what you don't see is in years prior, we've assigned funding for that project. As we get the final design, we will have a much better idea of total project cost, and then we would bring that back to the commission if necessary to change the plan. So what you see in the CIP for 24 is the last year of that original allocation of dollars.
Okay. So once we have the design back, we'll be able to know the all-in figure, so to speak?
Correct.
Right, thank you. And then my second question is, we saw at the county meeting, the intergovernmental agency director, Ben Pingree, is going over to the county. Have there been conversations at the IMC about where Blueprint goes from there with that position vacancy?
I'm not sure. Can you ask that again? I'm not sure I understand the question.
With Ben Pingree taking a position at the county, it would create a vacancy at the IA. Are there conversations ongoing with the IMC about how that position is going to be filled?
So the IMC would consist of myself, the city manager, and the county administrator, Vince Long. So we'll work together to formulate those steps to fill that. As you know, the police director, which Mr. Pingree will be leaving, that's established by interlocal agreement between the city and the county. It establishes the hiring, managers to be county administrator and the city manager myself. And so, yeah, we'll work together to replace that position.
Okay. And as you know, I've been very critical of the selection process the last round. So I'm just making sure we stay up to date on how that plays out. Thank you, Mr. Manager. That's all for me. Yep.
Sure, Commissioner Porter.
Nothing for me, thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Two things. One, Mr. City Manager, could and whoever else would need to do this, the Fire Station 17, I know we've talked about it a little bit in the budget. Can we get an update after the break on where things are? Or do you, if you have an update now, okay, after the break on where things are with that. I've gotten some questions from some folks in the community about where we are with that.
Mr. Mayor, we'll be happy to get you more information on that. We're in the design phase of that fire station. Like a lot of these things, they take a while to design, and so I believe we're about 60% complete. So I'll get you more information on where we are with the design and the expected timeline.
Okay. And the second thing,
Let me jump in on that. I think also what the community is saying overall is, are you moving forward?
yeah,
And I think it's important that we make sure everybody knows that the fire station and construction comes out of the fire services fee that is properly budgeted. It is not part of the discussion of the millage rate in the general
right,
fund.
right.
So I agree with you, Mayor Pro Tem. We need to send a clear message that, yes, we are moving forward with the, that's the overall, right? We're moving forward with the construction of the new fire station, and it's currently in design. Did I?
That's correct, yes,
Okay.
sir.
All right, very good.
On point, before you go to your next point,
Commissioner Richardson.
Madam Pro Tem, I have also had questions from people in the community as to whether or not there will be community space designed into that area. Is it anticipated that there will be community facilities, meeting rooms, or other amenities for the community to access?
Mr. Manager.
City Manager.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor. Yes, sir, Commissioner. That's the expectation, that there's some community space. Of course, how big that is and the functionality all is to be determined. The foundational functionality, of course, would be the fire station itself. But you've expressed a preference to also piggyback that and include community space. And so that's the direction we're headed.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Madam
Sure,
Pro Tem.
Mayor Pro Tem.
And my second item is that there has been some discussion about our charter and about, well, is it time for a charter review? And I just want to ask that question of my colleagues. Is it time
Absolutely.
to do a charter review? And if we agree that it is time, then what are the steps and what is the requirement? What would we need to do?
I would suggest that you make a motion for staff to bring back an agenda item on what is the process of establishing a charter review commission. What does that look like? How do you define it? What is the timeline from beginning to end, if that is what you're interested
Did y'all get all that down?
Yes, ma'am.
That's my motion.
Are you serious? I'll second it.
Yeah, that's my motion. And since you seconded, I'll explain. As we look at our bicentennial, people are beginning to, I'm getting conversations about where we are with the charter and how long has it been. We've heard even in chambers that we're operating from we've heard in chambers it's not true, that we're operating from something that was created 1800s and hadn't been modified since. I certainly know that can't be true because in 1800s they probably didn't get much of anything done that we're doing now. But there are residents who are beginning to have those conversations, and I've been approached. And so I want to do my due diligence to come and say, let's figure out what we need to do to take a look and see what that means, if my colleagues are in agreement.
Well, I have been on the record, Mayor Pro Tem, since the beginning of most governments do it every 10 years. The county does it every 10 years. I think it's been 14 or 15 years since the City of Tallahassee has done it. So I have always been in full support and will support the motion.
Yeah.
Any other conversations on the motion? Commissioner Matlow.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just have questions. What type of charter changes are we discussing or looking to review?
I don't know. That's
So
why
it's just an open-ended.
I don't know. That's why I want the staff to come back with what it would take, because, what are the steps? I think it would be up to us and our constituents to let us know what kind of changes they're interested in seeing, because the folks who are talking to me, they have some ideas, but I don't want to taint the process by saying here publicly what I've been told. I want it to be as organic as possible so that the citizens have an opportunity to weigh in on what they think needs to happen. And I understand that the county, there's a trigger for review.
Every 10 years.
Okay, and so I'm hoping that if we do the review, that we would put in something that would trigger a review, so it doesn't have to happen when somebody has a whim or have an idea that we should do it. It happens on a regular basis, because hopefully we will continue continue to grow. And as we continue to grow, we need to make sure that we are not being left in the 1800s in regards to how our city is run.
Yeah, and it's been said, I've heard several statements made that there's language in our charter dating back to the original charter of 1825. So certainly that in and of itself would suggest we need to have a group take a look at that and bring it up to date.
Commissioner Matlow, you still have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would be interested in hearing ideas from the public. I'm not sure we need to move forward with setting up a commission at this time. As we know, the community has often banded together to upgrade the charter. That's how we ended up with the ethics board to begin with, which was a ballot-initiated, public-initiated charter amendment, which I think is appropriate. But I think if there are specific ideas we'd like to discuss as a city commission, I think we can have a workshop and discuss those ideas and decide if we want to put anything on the ballot. I'm just not sure, a long-form commission, because as we know, we set up community boards and they make recommendations and we don't necessarily agree with them, and then we go back and forth. So if there are specific items of the charter that need to be updated, I think we should just have that conversation and see if we want to move forward with them. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
And Mr. Mayor, on
Mayor
point,
Pro Tem.
I don't have a problem with that, but that was not my motion. My motion was to bring back an agenda item on what it would take, not necessarily what to change, but what it would take to do that. What would be the process in doing a charter review? And of course, I know that it would mean establishing, but I'm not saying today let's establish a commission. I'm saying I want to know what the steps are. I was a John Q. Public the last time it occurred. I was a John Q. Public when it happened at the county, and so I paid close attention to what happened and how it happened. And as a matter of fact, I think Commissioner Richardson, I think it was you, where we went into the charter, they went into the charter and changed the gender to reflect that it was not just he, it was also she and her, and those kinds of things, those kinds of changes were made. But I just want to know what would it take to do it, and it can evolve and grow into whatever whatever ideas you want specifically to look at and have changed in the charter. But for now, I just want to know, how do we go about it?
Well, I am all in favor of it and will support it. Having gone through a charter review at the county as an elected, although ours will be different, it will be similar. I will tell you that usually what happens, and of course, we'll have a detail of the history of the charter review commissions that we've had here. Again, it is the norm, not the exception, for most local governments to do it every 10 years. It is a laid out, detailed process that I don't think that you can just scrub down in a workshop. I mean, usually what happens is that we will decide how many people to appoint, make the appointments. There is usually dollars allocated. It is not staffed by city employees. Usually you will hire, there's a whole industry of people that do this across the country. You will hire somebody usually from the outside it does not have ties to the community to come in and facilitate a charter review discussion. That charter review commission will spend many months not only taking public input, but scrubbing down the city charter and looking at every aspect of the city charter. And you know what? They might look at it and come back and say, we recommend no changes. They might come back and make all kinds of changes. We might agree with all. The next step would be, does the commission decide to put it on ballot for referendum? So, we'll have an opportunity to weigh in, but the first opportunity would be for a group of citizens that serve as a charter review commission to be appointed and give them 6 months to a year to look at the process. But for the action of tonight's motion, absolutely, for staff to bring back an agenda item of what this would look like for the city of Tallahassee. And I appreciate you bringing it up. Any further comment? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Nay.
It passes 4-1 with Commissioner Matlow in opposition. Okay, you still have the floor.
One other thing, and speaking of the charter, there are so many of us and our residents who are not familiar with what the charter is, what it does. And Madam Attorney, you and I have had some of these conversations about the possibility of educating our public on how our city is run, that it is run by the charter, basically, and the type of government that we have as defined. I would ask that we look at the possibility of doing some of those kinds of things, because I just believe that it's our job to educate our public on their government, and we do that a lot. But I think when you come down to the governing documents, it's like learning Robert's rules. You know, in some organizations, the charter is what we abide by, and this is what we ask our citizens to vote on. But we want them to be informed when they're voting on what is and what's in there and what's not. So if we could possibly look at doing some type of, I don't know, dare I say another lunch and learn, or some time to educate our public on what our charter does. I just think that we need to do that. And it's especially important for those coming behind us, because our young people are becoming more and more engaged. I see the young scouts here doing what they need to do. So there'll be others who will need to know this information. So hoping we can do that.
Excellent. All right. I got a couple things. First and foremost, I agree with Commissioner Matlow. Commissioner Matlow, you're right on point. We need to have a conversation about the governing structure of IEA as a board, the 12 of us, before we actually move forward. We have basically had complete turnover for the most part, or at least of the majority, since we've had a change in the director of place. You and I have talked about this for a couple of weeks too. You know how I feel, Mr. Manager, and I do think that I don't think you need a formal motion from this body, but I think you're hearing from at least me and my colleague that before you and the county administrator move forward formally with finding the replacement as the director of place, you know, it's ironic we were supposed to meet tomorrow. It's been postponed. Mr. Pingree leaves in this time frame, but it's recess. I would suggest no decisions being made until the IA board has an opportunity to check in and say, yes, this is the governing structure that we like, or have a conversation about where we want to go from there. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. So it does present a bit of a dilemma is whether we move forward or we don't. We would naturally just move forward with some kind of process to fill the position. Of course, I work for you. If you guys direct me to do something different, you certainly can do that. And so we do have a pretty good, normally it wouldn't be that big of an issue because you would have another meeting, but we've got about a 2-month gap.
Right.
Which is more than adequate time to do a recruitment and put somebody in place. I mean, that would just naturally be enough time. It may not be enough time, but it's an adequate amount of time. So, I would just gauge the will of this body, or do you want me as the city manager?
How do you feel more comfortable? Do you want formal or informal? I mean, you got two of us that have weighed in on this. Do you want a full motion?
I believe I need that.
Okay,
because
sounds good.
If it's just me, I think it's different, but obviously I'm
Commissioner Matlow, not to put words in your mouth, but looking for the motion of basically, let's hold off, let's provide direction to hold off with the hiring of a new director of place until the IA board has an opportunity to come back in August 24th to at least kind of talk about governing structure and how we're moving forward. Mr. Chairman of IA, do you understand kind of what we're touching base before you pass the gavel?
Well, I'm not really, because I guess the question I have is, as an IA board, it's the city and county
Correct.
together. So I don't know how we give the city manager direction to not hire as a city commission.
Right.
I'm not understanding that part of it.
That's a good point. And the IA board, right now, the way the structure is, the hiring and firing of the executive director of place, actually that decision is not made by the IA board. That decision is made by the city manager and the county administrator.
Okay.
And what we're saying is, hey, just hold off for 2 months until, under your leadership, we have an opportunity to talk about, do we want to change our structure and give hiring and firing capabilities to the IA board, as we do here at the City Commission with the manager, as the county does with the administrator, or are we still comfortable with the hiring and firing of the IA place director being in their hands? We're not making any decisions, just, again, we need to have a conversation.
But us telling the city manager to hold off doesn't mean that the county administrator holds off, and he is still a part of that process.
He cannot make a unilateral decision without the city manager.
Okay.
Correct.
The city attorney, I know she's our city attorney, but.
Right. Well, the city manager sits on that IA, I think it is called, as IMC, as the city manager. So you direct the city manager. So if you direct the city manager not to agree to the position being filled, then he is half of that vote, and it cannot occur.
Okay.
I mean, if anything, it gives us the opportunity to check in. What are you thinking?
Yeah.
Do you have somebody in mind? Are you going to do a nationwide search? What does that look like? So instead of just having the manager and the administrator go out and do it, let's all just check in on August 24th to make sure we're on the same page moving forward.
And we can make sure that that's on the agenda for that meeting as a part of the business meeting.
Got it. Just a second. Let me go back to Commissioner Matlow because he first raised the point. Is that the motion you would like?
Yes, I mean, that, spot on, yep.
And I will second that motion as well. Mayor Pro Tem?
I have no problem with that, except I would hope that that someone would be appointed to act, because there is work to be done before the meeting in August. And someone has to lead that work, someone has to do that work. And I'm hoping that they will consider appointing someone to act on an interim basis until something occurs, because that position had 2 folks with staff reporting to it, and then that person reported to the IA board. So void of that, I think we're creating some chaos that's avoidable by making sure that someone's there acting on behalf until someone is hired or appointed. And I would just go on record to say that looking at national searches, we spend money on a national search, it was about $25,000 or something like that, and then we choose somebody locally. So I hope that before we go national, we look locally first and save a few dollars. But I'm hoping that we'll consider putting someone there in acting to direct staff so that the work continues, because even though we're not meeting until August, there's work to be done. There may be contracts to be signed or to monitor. There's definitely someone's need to get the agenda together in the work that's going to come before the IA board. So I think we need a point person in this interim.
Mr. Manager, you tell me. I mean, are we in a situation where obviously we have Ms. Calder, who's over the blueprint, we have Mr. Bowers, who's over infrastructure, Mr. Bowers, who's over economic development. I mean, if y'all made a decision and brought in a point person right now anyway, would they even be up to speed in time for the August 24th meeting, or would it be Ms. Calder that would still be presenting on the infrastructure projects? And if we just kind of put a pause and had the conversation in August, I'm assuming that you and the administrator would provide them with any additional resources that they need to make sure that they can perform their job and be prepared for an August 24th meeting.
There is another employee, though. There's the attorney.
Oh, of course, the attorney, yes.
May I respond?
Please, yeah.
It's somewhat complicated because you have myself and the county administrator representing 2 different bodies. I think if you proceed with the direction to direct me as city manager to not proceed with the hiring of the place director and wait for the IA board to weigh in on the future structure if the IA board chooses to change that, that's clear direction for me. As you know, one half of the management, I would say that I would proceed with advertising the position, and I'll get to the interim piece.
Sure.
Because you need to get a pool of applicants. If the IA board chose to change the structure that's in place today, it's a bit of a process. It's an interlocal agreement. That's not done with just one fell swoop. And so I think you need to be prepared to go in whatever direction the board wants to go. And so it's just from a management point of view, I would think I would proceed, and I presume that the county administrator would agree. He may not. I think this is for us to work out, so it's difficult for me to make any commitments, that we would seek a pool of candidates. Now, with that said, in terms of the management of Place today, Place consists of Blueprint, OEV, we have a general counsel, and we have a planning director. Just about all of which are probably here tonight. Now, the good news is they're very capable and we'll be able to continue the work. We would, of course, make sure we've got management structure in place that if we need an interim, we would do that. And I wouldn't rule it out. I wouldn't rule it in. We need to talk to those individuals. I've not talked to the individuals. I can't imagine a scenario where we would do an interim that we don't know and is not related to the organization today. So I think we need time to work that out. I certainly hear the input. I think that's good input.
Okay.
And we have a couple months to the next meeting. And we have the agenda prepared for the next meeting largely because it was already going to be. And so I think we can accomplish all those things. I think what I hear you saying, I expect you to take a vote, is as city manager, you don't want me to take action to hire the next place director, but maybe be prepared and await direction from the IA board, and then be prepared to carry out the mission of the organization.
Sure.
As the Mayor Pro Tem said, I hear that loud and clear.
Sure. Any further comment on the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, passes unanimously, 5-0. Some fun stuff. We just went through an incredible graduation season, successful graduation season, both on the high school level, on the collegiate level, the community college level, and it was just a fun time in Tallahassee. It was great. Look at a lot of the incredible sports teams and what they've accomplished. FAMU baseball winning the MEAC. Softball won the MEAC as well.
No, wait.
I mean, SWAC, excuse me. I'm tired. They won the SWAC in baseball, won the SWAC in softball, correct? You had the Lady Seminoles that went all the way to the finals of the College World Series. There's just a lot to be celebrated. Very proud of our institutions of higher education. As we move into the summer, hope everybody is safe. In closing, I just want to introduce Alex Warwick and John Miller David, two individuals that you've probably seen around the office. They will be interning in my office this summer. John Miller just finished his freshman year at Auburn. Alex just finished his junior year at the University of South Carolina, but welcome home for the summer. Good to have you gentlemen. Okay. We are we are adjourned until 6 o'clock when we will come back for the public hearing. Great meeting. Madam Attorney.
Thank you, Mayor. Item number 14.01 is the first of two public hearings regarding the Airport Gateway Corridor Brownfield Area Designation. The second public hearing is scheduled for August 23, 2023. The recommended action is option 1, conduct the first of two public hearings on resolution number 23-R-15 to designate a portion of Lake Bradford Road, Orange Avenue, and Spring Hill Road corridor as state brownfield area known as the Airport Gateway Corridor. The second public hearing is scheduled for August 23, 2023 at 6:00 p.m. in the City Commission chambers at City Hall. City staff is available to address any questions you may have.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Do we have any public comment on this item?
We have one speaker on this item. Mayor Max Epstein is connected virtually, and I believe is the only speaker, but as he uses his 3 minutes for remarks, I'll double check to make sure I haven't had any new names.
Is our speaker connected? Mr. Epstein, are you with us?
No.
Nope. Okay. Any other speakers on this item?
No, sir.
Okay. Colleagues.
Move acceptance of staff recommendation.
Staff recommendation has been properly moved by the Mayor Pro Tem, seconded by Commissioner Richardson. Commissioner Porter, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just have some questions for staff based on an email that Mr. Epstein sent to us. I'm not sure
Alyssa, you going to
if,
take lead? Okay.
was it forwarded to you at any point?
I did have conversation. Mr.
Okay.
Epstein did send me an email with proposed sites for inclusion.
Okay, good. So it sounds like you'll, okay.
And
So I
we
was
did
just-
look at those. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I was wondering if you had any input on his suggestions and what it looks like generally if we wanted to include other sites.
Sure. Thank you, Commissioner Porter. Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, officials. So Mr. Epstein did send a list of items of different additional properties to include of an already big corridor. So this corridor in size is the size of Gain Street Corridor and South Monroe Corridor combined. It's bigger than that. 3 of the parcels that he mentioned to have included are already included. That's the Ability Towing site on Spring Hill, the one south of the Ability Towing. And then there's a property just north of Capitol Circle Southwest and east of Spring Hill. So those 3 are included. Some of the properties requested for inclusion were residential development, and that goes against the focus and the priority of the Florida Brownfields Act designation process. The primary goal of the Brownfields Redevelopment Act, which is a state under Chapter 376, is to reduce public health and environmental hazards associated with existing commercial and industrial use. So the focus of our designation is focused on commercial and industrial use areas. So that takes out the residential parcels that are mentioned. He also mentioned there was a stormwater pond that was associated with residential. And he also mentioned Lake Munson, and really the gist of the focus, as I understand it, is nutrient issues and algae. And that's really not what the Brownfields Act is for. The purpose of the act is to handle hazardous substances, petroleum, dry cleaning solvents, things that would be cleaned up under Chapter 62780, like site rehabilitation, waste cleanup. And so that's where financial incentives and grant opportunities would not be for nutrient issues, it would be for waste cleanup. So we didn't think that those were appropriate. The remaining 2 parcels were south of Capitol Circle, government-owned, and don't have any plans for redevelopment.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. That's all for me. Thank you.
Motion's on the table made by the Mayor Pro Tem, seconded by Commissioner Richardson. For the staff recommendation, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Passes unanimously 5-0. We're on item number 14.02. Madam Attorney.
Item number 14.02 is the first and only public hearing on the adoption of the 2023-2024 Housing and Urban Development Annual Action Plan. The recommended action is option 1, conduct the first and only public hearing on the adoption of the 2023-2024 HUD Annual Action Plan, approve the submission of the plan to HUD, appropriate the associated funds as proposed, and authorize the city manager or his designee to execute pre-award contracts for the related activities and programs.
All right. Do we have any public comment on this item?
Yes, Mayor, we do have one speaker. That's Pam Leslie. As with the earlier portion of our meeting, speakers have 3 minutes for remarks, and the light in front of you will go green and then yellow and red, yellow at the 30-second mark.
Thanks for joining us.
Appreciate it, Commissioners.
Name and address for the record.
My name is Pam Leslie. I am a member of the Capital Area Justice Ministry and also a member of Faith Presbyterian Church. And I wanted to start out and thank Commissioner Richardson for your efforts to correct your earlier statements today about the number of housing units that are going to be available in relation to Orange Avenue. The fact is that with tearing down of the 200, that what's going to end up in the after situation is really a wash with no additional units available for those that are most housing burdened in our community. Without an infusion of additional funding, that situation's not going to change. We've got over 13,000 households in this community that are severely housing burdened. And we're pleading for this body to at least direct staff to look for $5 million a year to increase that available inventory for very low and extremely low income households. The answer can't be we won't try. I know that all of you understand that this affects people that children that are being displaced through eviction or increased rental rates that their families can't afford, they're moved from one school district to another. Children go to school and they're tired because they have to sleep on a relative's sofa because their families can't afford housing in this community. We have to do something. It can't be we won't even try. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker, please.
That was the only speaker on the item.
All right. Colleagues,
Move staff recommendation.
staff recommendation has been properly moved by the Mayor Pro Tem. Is there a second? Second. Seconded by Commissioner Richardson. Any further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor of the motion on the table signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Passes unanimously 5-0. We are on item number 14.03. Madam Attorney.
Thank you. Item number 14.03 is the first and only public hearing on ordinance number 23-0-17, an ordinance of the City of Tallahassee adopting a text amendment to the 2030 Tallahassee-Leon County Comprehensive Plan, amending the land use element, utilities element, housing element, capital improvements element, and vision statement, providing for severability and conflicts and providing an effective date. Recommended action is option 1. Conduct the public hearing, adopt ordinance number 23-0-17, thereby adopting the text amendment TTA 2023-009 Southside Action Plan to the Tallahassee-Leon County Comprehensive Plan.
All right. Do we have any public comment on this, Mr. Clerk?
No, sir.
All right. Let's look at direction, comments, colleagues.
Move staff recommendation.
It's been properly moved by the Mayor Pro Tem, seconded by Commissioner Richardson. Any further comment, direction? Seeing none. All those in favor of the motion on the table signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Passes unanimously 5-0. Excuse me, 14.04, Madam Attorney.
Item number 14.04 is the first and only public hearing on ordinance number 23-0-20, an ordinance of the City of Tallahassee, Florida, amending Chapter 22 Vehicles for Hire of the Code of General Ordinances of the City of Tallahassee by updating based on state law, removing obsolete language, and deleting requirement to set fares, providing for conflict, providing for severability, and providing an effective date. The recommended action is option 1, conduct the public hearing and adopt ordinance number 23-0-20. The city regulates vehicles for hire under Chapter 22 of the Code. In 2017, the Florida legislature adopted Section 627.748 Florida statutes, implementing regulatory requirements for transportation network companies such as Uber and Lyft. Section 627.748-17 expressly reserves to the state and regulatory authority over TNCs and preempted regulation by local governmental entities. The regulatory preemption, however, is limited to TNCs and allows for the continued regulation by local governments of traditional for-hire vehicles such as taxi cabs and other transportation service providers. The statute also expressly allows airports to charge reasonable pickup fees consistent with any pickup fees charged to taxi cab companies at the airport, and to designate locations for staging, pickup, and other similar operations at the airport. The proposed amendments to Chapter 22 recognize the state's exclusive regulatory authority over transportation network companies, except at the airport, and revise the city's regulations for taxi cabs and other vehicles for hire to be more consistent with state law governing TNCs. Deputy City Attorney Amy Tobin is available to provide a brief presentation or address any questions.
Wonderful. Mr. Clerk, do we have any public comment on this item?
No, sir.
Colleagues?
Move staff recommendation.
Been probably moved by the Mayor Pro Tem, seconded by Commissioner Richardson. Any further comment? Seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Passes unanimously 5-0. We are on item number 14.05. Madam Attorney.
Thank you. Item number 14.05 is the first and only public hearing on ordinance number 23-0-22, an ordinance of the City of Tallahassee, Florida, consenting to inclusion of the incorporated area of the city within the Leon County Emergency Medical Services Municipal Service Taxing Unit, providing for termination of consent, limiting the maximum millage to be levied by Leon County Emergency Medical Services Municipal Service Taxing Unit, and providing an effective date. The recommended action is option 1, conduct the public hearing and adopt ordinance number 23-0-22. Mr. Robert Wiggin, Director, Resource Management, is available to address any questions.
Excellent. Do we have any public comment on this item? Mr. Clerk?
No, sir.
All right, this is the, this is the public hearing on the MSTU, folks. Any comment, direction, questions? It's been properly moved for staff recommendation by Commissioner Richardson. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mayor Pro Tem. Any further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor of the motion on the table signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Passes unanimously, 5-0. We're on item number 14.06, Madam Attorney.
Thank you. Item number 14.06 is the first and only public hearing on ordinance number 23-Z-04, an ordinance of the City of Tallahassee, Florida, amending the official zoning map of the City of Tallahassee, located on 893.47 acres on the north side of Mahan Drive and south side of Miccosukee Road, just east of the I-10 interchange within Mahan Drive on the official zoning map of the City of Tallahassee, changing the zoning classification of land from critical planning area to Walani Hill Plan Unit Development, providing for conflict, severability, and an effective date. The recommended action is option 1, adopt ordinance 23-Z-04, thereby amending the official zoning map from the critical planning area zoning district to the Walani Hill Plan Unit Development zoning district. Based on the findings and conclusions of the Planning Commission, the information contained in this agenda item, and any evidence presented at this hearing. Any ex parte disclosures concerning this item are available via the hyperlink included in the agenda item as published in the board doc system.
All right, wonderful. Any public comment on this item, Mr. Clerk?
Yes, sir. Stephen Martin is connected virtually, and Richard DeRobbie will follow only to answer questions if you have them.
All right. Is Mr. Martin with us?
Yes. You can hear me?
Your name and address for the record, please. You have 3 minutes.
Stephen Martin, 2625 Stonegate Drive. Yeah, this is just but the next chapter, an ongoing story of Walani Plantation, which began decades ago. Entire plantations known as a boot. It consists of the toe, the heel, and the arch. Prior development on the toe, canopy, hasn't proceeded exactly as planned. Numerous unanticipated problems have arisen. The next stage of the development will be the heel. This is nearly 900 acres, which is 400 acres larger than canopy. Both of these are PUDs and are far higher density than much of the surrounding area consisting of residential neighborhoods, which are a very different character than what is proposed for development, just like canopy was. Canopy is considered incompatible in the minds of the local and strongly impacted parties, even if it's not classified accordingly by the planning department's arbitrary and selectively chosen classification scheme, which I've heard used regularly when people who live near something consider it incompatible. Hopefully, the characters, I'm talking about the lobbyists and developers with canopy, will not be part of this chapter with Walani Plantation. I've spoken with you, Mayor Daley, several times when you were county commissioner about Walani Plantation. As noted, the Walani Plantation story is unusual and not necessarily how government is supposed to serve public, not private interest. Who you know mattered, as the owners and developers have realized. Who they knew included 2 of your former county commissioners, as well as a long-standing former city commissioner. Numerous special measures were taken, as I've spoken to you about, Mayor. Friends in places, in the right places at the right time mattered. I can't help but wonder about future chapters on Walani Plantation. There's a sound reason to be skeptical and less than optimistic about future developments, including what's planned on the heel, based on what's happened before. Hopefully, we have the foresight to take advantage of hindsight and do not let what happened to the neighborhoods around the toe where canopy is happen to the neighborhoods surrounding the hill. I'm quite concerned that many of the surrounding neighborhoods will end up being booted around by the aptly named Walani Plantation boot. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker, please.
Richard Darabi is available for questions and may want to make comments.
Name and address for the record, please. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Richard Darabi, 805 North Gadsden Street, and am available to answer questions. I can get into some of our community engagement should you have any questions about that, but I didn't want to pass on the opportunity to just compliment your team and your staff for all of the help. It's a very large PUD package, obviously very complicated comp plan that had to conform the package to meet all the comp plan requirements, and it started over a year ago working with the city manager and with assistant managers, Tedder, Dr. Drummondville, down to department directors, John Reddick with growth management, Steve Schaefer at UUPI, Artie at planning, and all of their team members as well. So just wanted to at least take a moment here in front of everybody just to compliment staff. And then if you all have any questions about the application, I'm happy to answer those. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other further public comment?
No, sir.
All right. Colleagues, discussion?
Move staff recommendation.
Been probably moved by the Mayor Pro Tem, seconded by Commissioner Richardson. Any further comment? Further comment? Seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Nay.
Passes 4-1 with Commissioner Porter in dissent. We are on item number, that was it. 14.06 was the last. Do we have anything else to come before us at this public hearing?
No, we do not.
All right. Do we have any other unagendaed item speakers?
We do have one speaker, Mayor.
Okay,
That
great.
is Mark Okasako.
Excellent. Thanks for joining us. Name and address for the record, please.
Mark Okasako, 1689 Silverwood Drive. Mr. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners, officials, thank you very much for listening. As you may know, I am a member of a citizens volunteer group called Save the English Forest. We have been in the process of applying for a Florida Forever New project, which we call the English Forest Preserve. And here's an update. In April, the city had given us a letter of commitment, which had said that they would be the managing entity of the preserve. We were able to submit our application to Florida Forever on April 28th. On May 22nd, Florida Forever notified us that our application had been accepted for review by ARC, the Acquisition and Restoration Council. ARC would have their first vote for the Cycle 2 applicants, of which we were one, at their June 9th meeting. In the interim, between the notification of acceptance and the meeting, ARC was accepting support from the public in the form of letters, petitions, and petitions. They would also be listening to public testimony at the meeting itself. And we thank the Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and the Commissioners for giving us letters of support. At the meeting, Commissioner Matt Lau and Artie White from the staff gave public testimony presentations. And we believe that the city's show of support combined with other letters of support, the petition, and the rest of the public testimony presentations helped the English Forest Preserve get a unanimous favorable vote, first vote by ARC. We are now looking ahead to the second vote. However, getting a favorable vote there is a greater challenge than with the first vote. And the second vote will be held at the ARC meeting in October. In the meantime, ARC will be conducting on-site surveys of each of the Cycle 2 applicants. Ours is tentatively scheduled for July 18th. Besides the surveys, we hope to get more information about any preparations we need to make before the second vote. And again, we thank both the Commission and the staff for helping us reach this point, and we hope to continue working with you to the second vote and beyond. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, our next speaker.
No further speakers, Mayor.
All right, folks. It's been a great meeting. Hope you all have a wonderful evening. We stand adjourned, 6:21.